What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Balanced Perception YouTube channel. And today, I'm not going to talk about any figures or any items I bought or any cosplays like that. I'm going to help you guys out with a few tips to help you in your cosplay workflow, your photography workflow. I've gotten asked a few times, what's the easiest way to basically go from raw picture to finished product? And I'm not talking about, actually taking the picture and editing, all that stuff, just like the behind the scenes mechanics of the entire process. So today, I want to talk to you about 5 tips to improve your cosplay edits and workflow. So let's get into it. So, starting off our list for 5 tips to help your cosplay's edit workflow, I would say the very first tip that I would start with is probably a no-brainer one, but it's to get the name of each cosplayer and the characters along with their Instagram. A lot of us take pictures of cosplayers and we love their costumes, but me personally, of course, I haven't watched every anime, I haven't played every game. I don't know who some of the characters are, and I just really appreciate their cosplays and love the way they look. So I need to find out who their characters are so that later on I can tag them and I can, of course, add them to Instagram, which goes along with asking for their Instagram name. It sucks when you have some great pictures and you can't show them to the person, who they're pictures of. You have this awesome, Demon Slayer cosplayer, this awesome My Hero cosplay or League of Legends cosplay, and everyone's like, oh, I love your work and this cosplayer is doing a fantastic job, and you're like, yeah, and they're like, who is this cosplayer? And you're like, I didn't get that information. So that really sucks when that happens. Of course, it happens to everyone every now and again, because I know I personally use my phone and I have everybody put in their character name, their real name, and then their IG name. But sometimes people spell things wrong, and that's okay, but you try to do your best. If you're taking 50 pictures or so, hopefully a good 45 of those will actually be corrected and 5 will fall by the wayside. So that's my very first tip. My second tip is going to be actually when you are inside of whatever program you're using, Adobe or Premiere Pro, or you're using DaVinci, whatever you're using, create a new folder and a new catalog. So I actually use Premiere Pro, I use Lightroom and then I use Photoshop. I use Premiere Pro for videos, but for Photoshop and for Lightroom, I use those for pictures. And every time I go to a new convention, I create a whole new catalog, and I don't just add to the catalogs that I already have in there. I originally started off adding pictures to the catalogs I already had created. And as you can guess, this created several problems when I wanted to go back and try to find old pictures, and people were like, oh, could you send me that picture? And I had the picture maybe exported, but I didn't have it in the right size, or there was something I noticed later on, like, oh, I wanted to change this, and I can't find the picture because I don't know which catalog it's in. I learned this maybe, I'm gonna say after 6 or 7 months of doing it. Because that's when I was actually starting to take more and more pictures of people. And I got burned once and I was like, never again. So now every time I go to a new convention, a new event, AWA, Dragon Con, which I will be at this weekend, so definitely give me a shout out, come out and get some pictures done. But AWA, Dragon Con, Ichiban Con, Katsucon, all of these, I now create all separate folders, and I have separate hard drives with them labeled actually by year. So that's another little side tip. I create hard drives for each year because I fill up easily about like 5 or 6 terabytes now that I've started recording each year. So yeah, about there, I would say around there. So I create a hard drive with each year, and hopefully the months and all that stuff labeled on there too. So that's tip number 2, create a new folder and a catalog. Tip number 3 is going to be decide if you want your photos to be for your site, for Instagram, for YouTube, for Snapchat, for TikTok, wherever you want it. Decide where you want your pictures to go. I know you're probably thinking, Mark, what does it matter if I decide now or if I decide later or where I want my pictures to go? Well, each program, each platform has a different aspect ratio, has different RGB settings. They're not drastically different, and you can probably usually get away with whatever you do, but if you want, add that little extra layer, that little extra finesse, the extra razzle dazzle, then you can do specific export settings for each type of platform you use. I'm not gonna get into what each of them are. Hopefully one day I'll make a video on that. But knowing you're going to do Instagram right now, if you're going to do TikTok, I personally do Instagram and I do my website. So I export pictures that are for Instagram, that aspect ratio, along with pictures for my website, which are larger. And I tell everyone that they can see the small version of their Instagram picture on my Instagram, Boundless Perception, and it usually is like cut off to fit into whatever Instagram's aspect ratios. I can't remember off the top of my head. But then when they go to my website, they see the full picture. So now, you will see all of your legs, you'll see that entire sword, you'll see all of the hair, whatever else. So that's my personal way of doing things. You can only stick to Instagram, you can only stick to your website, whatever have you, but that's just the way I like to do things. So again, that's tip number 3. Decide if you want your photos to be for your site or your IG. Tip number 4 is one I kind of already mentioned, which is to use the external hard drives. Again, you don't want to lose information. I have had that happen. Something happens and the hard drive on your computer crashes. You want to have it backed up elsewhere, because you'd be surprised at how many times you actually go back to old pictures for settings, or you find, I actually just recently had that happen. I took a picture of a cosplayer at Ichiban 2018, I think it was. And it literally was not until this year, 2021, that I found that cosplayer again, because they had given me their IG and some of the letters were wrong, whatever, and I could not find them to save my life. I looked through all of the convention pictures for 2018 Ichiban, couldn't find them. And somehow they came across my Instagram page again. Well, no, they were in one of the chat groups I'm in on Facebook, and I was like, oh my gosh, I remember your picture. Went back to the old hard drive, put up their picture, sent it to them. They're like, I've been looking all over for you, and the rest is history. So that was really awesome, but would not have happened if I did not store it externally. And well, it may have still happened, but the likelihood that I would have lost it is much more prevalent, because I like to wipe my computer once a year so that it goes back up to its original new speed. So anyways, not saying that you'll lose them, but the chances are greater that you will end up losing it. The final tip is going to be make your own presets. I spoke about this a little bit, where you really want to develop your own style for cosplay photography. If you're, if you're an external flash user like me, off-camera flash, or if you just use, a DSLR, if you use a mirrorless camera, a point and shoot, even if you use, oh my gosh, what do they call it? The old, Polaroids, if that's your thing, whatever have you. When you go into, well, for Polaroids you can, but whenever you go into Photoshop, whenever you go into Lightroom, DaVinci, whatever have you, have your own settings so that you know exactly what it is you're going for. And it will really help you develop your style more, and it'll help you figure out what it is that you like. Because I know my personal style now. I don't like pictures all that often where I can't use an off-camera flash. I really, really like using an off-camera flash, and I try to avoid any situations in which I can't use it. So that's also the way my presets are set in Lightroom. They work with off-camera flash, they work with my settings. I'm usually around this ISO, I'm always using this lens, I'm always using this camera, I'm always using this aperture, shutter speed, all that. So it just links up really well, and it helps constantly recreate that style that a lot of cosplayers know I'm going to create, and and hopefully that helps you build your brand and your image. So hopefully those 5 tips helped you guys out. I mean, I know they weren't huge tips, but it's the little minute details that will definitely bump you up to that next level. I'll give them to you guys again. They were: get the name of each cosplayer and the characters along with their IG, create a new folder and catalog, decide if you want your photos to be for your site or your Instagram, use external hard drives, and make your own presets. So if these tips helped you, definitely leave a message in the comment sections below. I would love to know. And if you see me at DragonCon, feel free to shout out. Until next time, stay boundless. And as always, if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.